We are live.
I never didn't believe in Bigfoot. I never believed in it. I didn't believe in it. I never gave it any thought.
They kept wood knocking back and forth to each other, and it was in a pattern.
Barn owls don't typically throw rocks.
I come across these tracks.
Sasquatch is still not on my mind.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Caffeinated Cryptid, everybody. Home to caffeinated fuel conversations combining incredible scientific perspectives and paranormal research with captivating stories from eyewitnesses that have experienced high strangeness firsthand. I'm your host, Bobby Dizzle, the MC of this here train wreck. I've heard all the stories, I've talked to all the people, and I'm ready to get started tonight. I got two very, very, very fun guests on tonight. Joining us are Dan Baldwin on the bottom from Arizona and George Sewell from Louisiana. He's still grueling from that LSU loss yesterday, but he'll get in a better mood. Roll Tide. And here to reveal the mysteries of pendulum dowsing, Dan will walk us through his work as a psychic detective using pendulums to locate missing persons and even trap free spirits, while George explores the investigative power of pendulums in cases like Lindsey Higgins UFO abduction. Together, they'll take us through the hidden realms of the Southwest, all featured in Paranormal Pendulum II, their book. Is it both of you's book or just one? Paranormal Pendulum III.
But yeah, two and three are George and I.
Okay. I got kind of mixed up on the writing of that one. Prepare for an eye-opening journey in the world of spirits, supernatural. All your websites are in the description, whether you're watching or listening to this, so that's not gonna be a problem. The way to find you are right there. It's like line 7. All right. Now that the paperwork is done,
There we go.
the sky people. That reminds me of that song. People of the world, can you hear me?
Just happen to have a copy here.
I just happen to have. I'm surprised
Just
there's
happen to have one there.
stacks and stacks behind you.
Yep.
So y'all are masters of the pendulum dowsing technique. I want to before we get started, to get us started, can we get like a one-on-one class about what exactly that is, how you use it, and how you came together using the pendulum dowsing technique?
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that. Basically, a pendulum is nothing more than a rock on a string or a weight on a string. And there's nothing mystical or magical about it. It's just a weight. And the way it works, I'm simplifying it, but your conscious mind looks at the weight that frees up your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is in contact with your higher self. What the big nice pink something that's out there, Akashic records, whatever you want to call it. In the case of George and I, we've also used it to make contact with the spirit world and with the inhabitants of UFO craft. And essentially, again, your subconscious does all the work. When the pendulum, you ask a question, you ask yes or no questions, and a right swing is a yes, and a no swing is a no. A left swing is a no. And it's basically a process of elimination. You just ask question after question after question, narrowing down your focus to get the answers that you want. But the magic is all done in the subconscious. It's all, after that, it's all physical. Your fingers actually do the moving.
All right.
Yeah. At the direction of the subconscious.
Yeah. The subconscious is a kind of a realm I'm dabbling in lately with, making things happen in law of attraction, manifestation. And it's powerful. And it's almost like giving a child a loaded weapon in some ways. Cause you're like, man, you can make things happen and not mean it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm a registered clinical hypnotherapist.
Mhm.
I can legally I can hang out my shingle as a therapist. I don't do that. I just studied it because I wanted to understand. The subconscious mind, and it is incredibly powerful. It gets back to that old saying about be careful what you wish for because you might get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to be careful about the monkey's paw scenario. That's what I'm always worried about.
Exactly.
I'm always worried I'm going to wish for something and get like some. So I'm going to be like real specific. Make it positive. Make it not hurt anybody.
Well, yeah. Well, exactly. When I'm helping people, for example, you help somebody with a weight problem. You're trying to help them lose weight. How you frame the question is very important because you can say, I want to lose weight. Well, your subconscious mind will go, well, okay, cancer is a good way to do that.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to lose weight. So what I tell people to do is you don't want to lose weight. You want to focus your subconscious mind on gaining a healthy body. Same destination, entirely different way of getting there.
You got to be specific with the genie, man.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't like that, but you have to be careful because wish for patience.
With pendulum dowsing, the question is at least half the process right there. Because you can get an answer that's a correct answer, but it may your interpretation of that answer may throw you way, way, way off.
Mm-hmm. So how does, like, a lot of the descriptions here, you've solved a murder case, missing persons in so many. How do you like start that? How do you break ground when you're looking for someone that you don't know anything about?
Yeah, when I'm doing it, I use a technique I call shrinking the box. For example, a missing person is missing in, say, Arizona. I'll ask a question. Is the missing person in Arizona? I get a yes. Is the missing person in northern Arizona? I get a yes. All right, I've cut my research area in half. Is the missing person in northeastern part of Arizona? I get a yes. All right, at that point, I can get out like a travel map. Is the missing person north of south of I-40? Get a yes. East of I-17. All right, the box is smaller and smaller. Eventually, you can get out topological maps to where you can get to specific features. Is the missing person north of this low water bridge, south of this landform? And you can actually get one of the benefits of dowsing, unlike other forms of psychic techniques in looking for missing person, you can actually get latitude and longitude or street addresses. You can get that accurate if you're patient and you work it right.
So it's almost like the psychic version of, would you rather have $1 million right now or a penny doubled every day for a year, or every day for a month? Every day for a month. So you start.
Think about where you're going. I've got a perfect.
I guess knowing the state.
Yeah, I've got a perfect example. When I was of questioning, when I was, people have heard me say this before, but when I was looking for a missing person, I would get incredibly accurate information on everything except one area. I would ask the obvious question, is the missing person alive? And I would get a yes. Turns out, time after time after time, everything I got was correct, except by the time when I did the actual reading, the person had already deceased. Yeah, I was wondering, I'm getting everything right except this one area. Then it hit me. People don't die, at least in my belief system. The body dies, but the person goes on. The person is still alive. So in my frame of reference, I was getting the correct answer. The missing person is alive. The spirit had just moved on. So when I changed the formation of the question, now is the missing person physically alive? It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I would assume it was. Did you think it was just being misleading before that, or how many did you go through before you realized that that was the case? You're talking.
I just thought I was terribly wrong.
That's a big one to be wrong about.
Well, again,
but you weren't exactly wrong.
Well, no, psychic work is like anything else. Nobody's 100% right 100% of the time. You have to be prepared for that, which is why if you're working something important, do multiple cases. That paid off with me and George in doing the Lindsey Higgins book, because we did what, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
Now tell me about the Lindsey Higgins. Which case was she? Because that sounds so familiar, and I never had a chance to Google it.
Yeah, George.
Well, the fastest way to get it is if you got Netflix. Go back to one of their series called Haunted, and in their first season of Haunted, episode 5 featured Lindsey.
Okay, so that's why it sounds familiar to me, because
Yeah.
I've seen it. Because I've seen it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a nice little 20-minute summary of everything Lindsey. So that's the quick way to get about it.
Okay. So yeah, when you said Netflix Hauntings, that's how I figured. That's how I've seen it. I didn't know if it was in one of the more. Well, it is one of the more famous ones. I didn't know if it was like one of the more mainstream ones, like the Barney and Betty.
Not that famous, but it's
not that famous.
out there.
What's the process of did you know she was abducted before you started, or did you have what was classification point A with her?
I just got a phone call out of the blue one night, and it was, is this George Sewell? Yes. Oh, well, this is Lindsey Higgins, and so said I should give you a call. Oh, okay. And what might we talk about? And for the next 2 hours, she chronicled her life, which was just one continuum of involvement in various measures with what we would call ETs. And Dan and I had been working on some other cases with the pendulum, and it just seemed so evident that, hey, Dan, let's use the pendulum and see if we can learn what on earth is going on with Lindsey. And we spent about 2 years doing that, and that resulted in the book Paranormal Pendulum III, which is the story of Lindsey Higgins. And a fascinating story it is.
So did she know she was abducted before she called you, or she was just like, what is happening to me at night?
No, what led to her talking to her friend. Her friend was one of the very few people that she's talked to over the decades about her personal experiences. So she had to sit on all this stuff most of her life, and just reached a point to where I can't sit on it. I got to talk about it somehow, some way, some fashion. And that's when her friend, who was aware of my interest in the field, and for a while there, my affiliations with the Mutual UFO Network, and my background as a counselor, call George, and she did. And it was a great relief to her, because in the 2 hours that we talked in that initial phone call, basically what she was doing was describing encounters that I had heard from other people over many, many years in different locations. And that gave a validity to what she was describing. And also reinforcing that what the others had described to me, okay, it's still going on.
Did you ever get any answers as to why that the people are being abducted from?
Well, we didn't approach it in that sense. It was more of what is going on with Lindsey, as opposed to what's the purpose of these kind of interventions. What we did come up with towards the end of the investigation was that there was a particular entity who was more or less guiding Lindsey through her many lifetimes in her various experiences. So it was, if you will, for not a guardian angel, but let's say somebody who was very closely affiliated with Lindsey, and very often assisted her in her life choices or whatnot. But what he presented in one of our sessions was that 600 years ago, he offered Lindsey an opportunity to participate in an ongoing project that involved reincarnation. That's why she was asked into it, because of her ability to reincarnate, of a process of hopefully elevating Homo sapiens to a status to where the lifetime is pretty much doubled from what it is now, and that the sixth sense, the ability to work psychically with other realms and other beings, would be developed to where it would be as common and as easy, if you will, as just picking up the phone and making a phone call. I mean, it had that kind of reality to it and ease to it. So that seems to be at least two of the reasons for what was going on with Lindsey.
So if I can toss in something here, I think that George and I were pretty much. Again, this is my opinion, but I think we were spirit-led, spirits, ghosts, to put this to eventually to go through what we went through, then so that we could meet Lindsey Higgins for the very specific purpose of getting Lindsey's story out there, so that she would influence other people in the same position, so that they could say, "Hey, I'm not alone. It's okay for me to come out. It's a good thing for me to talk about this to." Not to keep it bottled inside, but it's a good thing for me to tell people, to get it out there, to get my story out there, because I'm not alone and it's important and I need to tell people this. I think that was kind of the motivating factor behind that book.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now your spirits led you to here. So it must be a good thing for you.
They haven't led us wrong yet.
Yeah.
Nope. Maybe they led me to you. That's probably what I would think. What you guys? So I tell you what gets me about the soul contract kind of thing, like you're talking about, as well as just other people being abducted, almost like a crime spree, for lack of a better term. Obviously, it's not. Is that the people that do it and don't know that it's happening and just have bad dreams? Like, it's out there, like.
If you're having those kind of bad dreams, there are people you can talk to about that and find out whether or not there's more to it than just bad dreams. It's okay to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're abducting the body or just the soul, just the consciousness? I've heard that is a hypothesis before.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't like the word abduction because of its negative, almost criminal context.
Yeah.
Whatever is occurring, I think, is much more by agreement and plan, as opposed to being snatched in your sleep and dragged off to wherever. I just haven't found that to be the case. So certainly with Lindsey and the other cases that I've read about or otherwise studied, pretty much the same.
Now, on that same token, I've heard that that's also like a bad word to a lot of guys that research in that area, the abduction word. Because a lot of times, especially with actual ETs, it's not harsh. It's startling, but it's not harsh. It's just an experience. But
it's an encounter.
But when it comes to something like a military abduction, those are the ones that are traumatic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you enter into that.
I think the legitimate contacts with beings from the UFOs is more a matter of interaction than a matter of them doing something to us. I think it's a two-way street. A lot of the human being side of it may not realize that they've already agreed to it. It may be a past life thing, like with Lindsey. But I think I think interaction is the better term.
Because you got those experiences like Travis Walton, who just got all kinds of messed up by it. But then you get people that go up and they meet people they've known, they meet their relatives that got abducted or taken from genetic. They got created from genetic harvesting, and they get put back, and it's just kind of like a bad dream. But there's two different versions. Like it can't be. It's either bad or not. I don't see it all.
Well, there's something. Travis Walton has said something fairly recently that he now realizes that the experience he had on the craft wasn't so much negative. I saw him on an interview. He said he got so close to the craft that he was physically harmed, and that the 4 days he was away was time spent with the aliens actually healing him. So that it appears negative, but it really wasn't a negative experience.
Yeah, I've heard that one as well. That he got so burned by that light.
Yeah,
that if they left him there, he would have died. That's hard. That's some radiation to the 10th power right there. Man, that's such a good movie, though, even though it's all wrong.
Well, yeah.
I could watch it every week.
Well, watch the movie, then go buy the books.
Yeah, I've watched the real Travis Walton, the real Travis documentary too. They got that. There's one that like a sister documentary, and the other one, the closer thing to me, and I guess subsequently you too, Dan, but Calvin Parker down there at the Delta.
Yeah,
in Gulfport.
Yeah, Gulfport.
They had that wild. That was a wild one because theirs was even corroborated in the interrogation room afterwards. It's their knowledge.
Yep. Yeah. Sheriff's Department was recording him while they were left alone to themselves, and that was convincing for the department that, whoa, these guys aren't making this stuff up.
Yeah, they were corroborating right there. I didn't even know. Anytime anybody talks any kind of garbage about how it's all made up, I'm like, look, that Travis Walton thing, not Calvin Parker. I just send them that little clip of them in the interrogation room from that encounters.
Well, I'll tell you, personally, I spend a lot of time. I'm an avid hiker and camper. I spend a lot of time by myself out in the wilderness. And if you look up in the sky at night long enough, you're going to see UFOs. You're going to see lights exhibiting non-ballistic motion because they're there. And it's not that I'm special or anything. I'm just out there that much that I get to see a lot. But when you see a bunch of, I've seen them. If they were traditional craft, they would have been within probably 5 miles of me. If they were traditional size craft, but once you see a sky full of objects that appear and disappear, that move horizontally, then up, without banking or without turning, if they show up, that suddenly disappear. I watched a show the other night, a couple of weeks ago, for about half an hour of lights in the sky just exhibiting non-ballistic motion over and over and over and over again. I mean, once you see that, there's no doubt about it. The phenomenon is real.
I had one flash its high beams at me in my backyard here. I promise you, it made like a, how the Amazon smiley face is?
Yeah.
It did like that, but it was like it turned its lights on and disappeared in a curve.
I saw an upside down smiley face in New Mexico camping. I had a flash, streak, just like that.
Yeah, I bet out there it's crazy because you can see so far and so detailed.
George had a fairly close encounter.
Really? What happened, George?
Not sure exactly which one Dan's referencing, but
the one when you
can tell them all on here. I've got time. TikTok will take all your stories.
I think what he's talking about is when Dan and I were in the middle of doing the research for Paranormal Pendulum III. It was just amazing how things just clicked. I mean, the right people came together at the right moment. The right event occurred at the precise instant that it needed to occur. It was just Dan and I were very, very conscientious and judicious about our not influencing anything, either with the pendulum or with the other participants. So we were working diligently to stay back from whatever was being recorded. And I was concerned because so many things were clicking that maybe somehow subconsciously, maybe Dan and I might have been influencing what was occurring. And I got a pretty direct answer to that concern. And the response was, I got up, this was the end of December 2020 or 2019. And got up early, went into the living room to open up the blinds. The sun had not quite risen yet, but get ready for it. And as I was looking through the blinds out across the yard and over the neighbor's roof, there was a humongous orange sphere hovering above my neighbor's house. And we're talking something like 30 feet in diameter. An incredible sphere. The circumference was not solid. It was kind of feathered, It was, you know, he had some movement to it, a little feathery movement. And I got to look at that sucker for about 10 minutes and just studied every angle of it. Just, I mean, it didn't come in, go out. I mean, it just was there right across the street, just above my neighbor's roof. And after a bit, okay, I need to go make some coffee. So I went back in the kitchen and made a cup of coffee, came back through the living room, looked back through the window, and it was gone. And that's when it hit me that, whoa, hold on. This thing really happened. And there were two things that I did not do that I almost certainly would have done. I didn't step outside and look at it directly, which of course I would have done. And I didn't take the phone and take a photograph of it, which I absolutely would have done. And the fact that I did not even think of either of those two things kind of let me know that they had a presence with me, kind of directing what I could perceive, to keep it restricted to what they wanted me to know about, and not get off into things that could not be done, at least at that moment. But it was a real visceral feeling when I looked and it was gone, and I realized what had happened. I mean, there was a visceral component to it. So it was, I'm not going to forget that one.
I think John was going to ask what year in the nearest city. The year was about 2020, I believe you said. What was the
December 2019 is when that particular event happened.
Where was were you located at?
That was at Shreveport, my house, Bossier City, Louisiana. I'm just outside in front of my house.
Yeah, it's weird to you didn't think to do any of that. You were just kind of in the moment. Like, here it is.
That was symbol. Exactly. And it would be very typical of me to get a closer look and definitely get it photographed, some sort of recording, some sort of third party evidence. Thoughts never crossed my mind.
You had some fourth dimension.
Yeah, that's that interaction thing. I had a similar event. I was camping up in Utah, way out there, looking over the Navajo reservation. There were no lights, no roads, no cars, no nothing. And 3 o'clock in the morning, I just sat up, in my cot, wide awake, and saw this light about the size of a quarter held at arm's length, like a full moon. The moon had set hours earlier, but like a full moon. And I looked at it, got up, put on my heavy coat because it was winter, watched it for a couple of minutes, walked around the side of my truck, watched it for a couple of more minutes. It just hung there. And then I thought, well, I need to take a picture of this. Reached over to grab my camera. It was gone. Again, I think the Georgia and I had a similar experience. It was we're here, but this is just for you guys, just to let you know. Maybe they were just saying, hey, keep up the good work.
Yeah, they're not going to let you have that. They're not going to let you have the Holy Grail. I don't think we're meant to, as our species. I think that's the reason I haven't gotten any of the, like you said, that one, or like a Bigfoot sighting of any kind of substance. I think it's just people that see them, and people that don't.
Well, we had George and I have joked about this before, but we enjoy conversation with skeptics. You can have a conversation with a skeptic. What I have trouble with is the true believers. They're so locked into their box. If they saw a UFO land in their driveway, they would see a Volkswagen van. They wouldn't see a UFO. I've seen that. Believe me, I've seen that in action.
Yeah.
Yep. It wouldn't matter if it hit them in the face.
Well, yeah. I mean, you see a light come in the sky, and I go, "Oh, that's nothing unusual." Okay. You just have to say okay and let them go. Let them stay in the box.
Do you think a lot of that is out of fear?
Oh, of course.
When people go to that level to not believe something's real, it's out of fear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's I've dealt with guys who are my best friends. Severe. Just everything is rock solid. There's no 4D. Everything's energy. We die. We turn black. Nothing. and nothing beyond what we found scientists. So anything that happens is, well, that's obviously explained away. I don't even, it's like they don't even check that maybe there is an explanation.
No,
Well,
that's them.
Yeah,
Yep.
a good friend of mine, his the way I classify it, we're talking about the ghost in the spirit world. He's not afraid of ghosts. He's afraid there might be ghosts.
Yeah.
Because if he's confronted with the actual ghost, well, he's got to change. He's got to think about that. But thinking makes people uncomfortable.
I'm just ready for my paradigm shift. I don't know how far it'll shift because I feel like I've already shifted. I think I was born. I think my soul contract, for lack of a better term, already knows it's out there. Because I've never questioned it. I was like, well, that's real somehow. I don't know how. But like, to somebody says there's a UFO, like there's got to be. I mean, look, there's 55 trillion planets.
But yeah,
something's got to happen, especially the interdimensional, which is more likely nowadays.
Yeah, we've run into that.
You dealt with interdimensional kind of stuff doing the pendulums?
Yeah, again, with our pendulum research, George and I, again, we're not special. We're just out there looking, so we get to see a lot of craft. A lot of them terrestrial, a lot of them question marks, and a lot of them, again, exhibiting non-ballistic motion or doing things that craft can't do. We will use our pendulums. Is this a legitimate UFO? Did the UFO come from our galaxy? Did it come from another dimension? And sometimes we'll send photographs back and forth and kind of, what's your take on this, George? Or what's your take on this, Dan? And
let me elaborate on that, Dan, since you touched on something that's been going on 4 years now. Is I live about a mile from a very nice city park that's adjacent to the runway at Barksdale Air Force Base. And for many years, it was my routine, first thing in the morning, get up, walk down to the park, walk around the park, and back to the house, which is a nice 3-mile walk, good way to start the day. But one day, it was in late December, and there was a heavy frost on the baseball field at the park. And I said, man, that is really good looking. Let me get a photograph of that, put it on Facebook, because people like pretty pictures. So I did, and got a number of comments back from folks. Oh, what a pretty picture. And one of them also remarked, well, George, that's nice, but what's with the blue ball at the bottom? Huh? So I went back and looked at the photograph in the camera and scrolled down, and sure enough, at the bottom of the photograph, hovering just above the ground, was about a blue softball-sized sphere. And I said, what the? Okay, well, that's cool. Then I decided, okay, next time I come to the park, I'll recreate that photograph. I'll go to the same spot, the same frame, roughly the same time of morning, and see what happens. And I did that for a week. And out of five trips, 3 of them produced very clear orbs in different locations in each of the photographs. But there it was. No way it's a lens flare or anything like that.
That's my first question.
No. I sent them off to Dan. Say, Dan, take your pendulum, see if you can get a handle on what's going on here, because this is not camera artifacts. This is not lens flares. This is something else.
Yeah, some of George's orb photographs, I mean, you can argue, all right, that's a lens flare. Okay, maybe, yeah, whatever. He's got pictures of orbs behind trees, in trees, behind houses, coming up over mountains. It's physically impossible for those orbs to be lens flare. He's got legitimate orbs, and he's got a bunch of them.
And usually lens flare looks just like something. Usually lens flare looks just like something else that's in the shot, so it's easy to tell. Like that's just a little version of the sun or the moon.
Yeah, his are much different.
Now, when you do the pendulum, you do that to establish basic information and to get down to the nitty gritty. I notice in your bio, you're psychic mediums. At least one of you are. Do you ever like you get like the basics of the credentials of the thing you're dealing with, and then go straight to the psychic and kind of establish radio contact with them in that manner?
Yeah, I'm not a medium, so
neither of us are.
But when I do, if you can work with a medium, which George and I have.
Oh, you work with the mediums. That's what it says. Dadgummit.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
reading comprehension is a thing.
We have quite a, I call it the New Explorers Club.
Mhm.
But they are meetings. But yeah, if it's just me working the pendulum, for example, I'm looking for, say I'm investigating a spirit at a house someplace. Build up a description. Again, it takes time with yes and no questions. How tall are you? Any identifying scars? Do you have a beard? Are you male? Are you female? Are you white, Anglo? Hispanic, Chinese? When did you die? What did you die of? That sort of thing. And you build up a pretty good photograph in your mind of what the spirit looked like. And then, as George has often done, gone back to the newspapers and actually found that the entity we spoke to actually existed. So it's a phenomenal investigative tool. And often there are ways of verifying what you come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I read that it's in conjunction with psychics and mediums, because I was thinking whatever you were. Anyway, yeah, but it's actually kind of cool because you could take that conversation and move on to someone that actually does that, and they can go straight to the point.
It's multiple validation.
Yeah, and that's the way that validation works, Bobby, is the medium will be presented information, and she'll be repeating or describing what's being presented to her. And at the table, we will have an individual who's holding the pendulum. And what the pendulum is doing is giving a positive swing if the information is valid and accurate. And there was one occasion where it had a negative swing. And so we paused and we needed to change some language, is what it was telling us. So we changed the language a bit, and then it spun positive. So it's a nice check on the information from the mediums.
Oh yeah,
yeah. For the
little polygraph.
True believers out there, I highly recommend studying the pendulum. But example of some of the ways George and I research a specific problem, we'll have George and I will be doing the pendulum. We'll sit back to back so that we can't. I can't see what George's pendulum is doing. He can't see what mine is doing. The medium will sit facing the other direction, so she can't see what we're doing, and we can't see her body language. So there's no way that either one of us can affect the other one. And we'll have a fourth person asking the question. And consistently, all three of us will come up independently, even though we're together, independently with the same answers.
Man, is there video of this anywhere happening? Because that's a scientific method. Like, how come this isn't done?
Because it's boring as hell.
I don't think so. I mean, look, I've been involved in that kind of.
Here we go. I'm talking with Billy the Kid. Okay, Billy. And you do this for half an hour. That's your video for half an hour.
We'll cut it down a little bit. It'll be like watching a fishing show.
There is one video example out there I was involved with. It's at if anybody wants to check it out, it's at www.tombstoneland.com. It's Tombstoneland, one word. And that was a film crew out of New York was documenting Tombstone. They ran into some friends of mine and they followed us around the Tombstone for a weekend. And at the end of the weekend, we ended up freeing a trapped spirit, and that's documented. That's on camera.
It was in Tombstone. Do you know was it anybody famous?
Say what?
Was it anybody famous or just a trapped?
Oh no, it was a Chinese laborer. Killer.
He said, no, not my fishing show. The pendulum.
It depends on what you're fishing for. Depending.
Pendulum channel. You just cut the route when it cuts to the yes or no.
Well, are the fish in the north end of the lake? Yes or no? Are they at 10 feet? Yes or no?
Billy the Kid. That's.
Seriously. Well, the subject matter is beyond fascinating. The actual process is pretty slow.
Oh yeah, it's like anything. It's the end result is, it's grueling to get there, but once you're there, it's funny. It's fun to, because it's literally a pendulum. I was telling George before you popped on the screen, I've been involved in the human pendulum experience before, and it's probably not as. It's basically like a slumber party trick, but you have to get in like a mood to do it. Like you lock your arms in, and the person gets in the middle and gets real loose, and you ask questions, and you establish what the spirit with
Oh
the
yeah,
yes or
yeah.
no with. And
Yeah,
it
definitely.
was,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, human body. I mean, yeah, that can be a pendulum. That's true. Yeah.
yeah, it was like it would establish the person that was the no. There was 4 people standing around the one person, and it was established which person was a no, which person was a yes, and it would lean forward, and you had to catch them. And I felt like I was literally getting shocked with electric needles the whole time I was doing it. Like something was happening, and I don't get like tripped out or freaked out easily, or I don't get like bought into something mentally.
Yeah.
Like I guess hypnotized into it. And I was telling her, I said, I feel like I am getting charged with some kind of like my whole body just went to sleep and came unasleep again the whole time we were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was believing it. I was like, but and then at I mean, everything else was going. We narrowed things down to people, to actual spirits that were in the actual building that people knew about, just through those yes or no questions.
Yeah.
But then like the last question somebody asked was like dumb as hell, and it answered an answer that couldn't have been right. I'm like, well, why would you even do that? Like it was just one of those like garbage questions. She asked, we found out that the spirit was in World War II, and it was a black guy, and he fought in World War II, and he came there and died years ago. And somebody asked, was he stationed in Newfoundland? I'm like, in what world is a World War II soldier from America stationed in Newfoundland? Sheila, why would you even ask that question? It said yes. I'm like, well, that goes the whole thing. Like you've ruined it for me.
Well, you don't know.
And you know, I went back and looked, and there actually were soldiers from World War II stationed in Newfoundland. So I felt like an idiot. But for that night, I was like, why the hell would you ask that? Newfoundland? Where even is that? That's Canada.
Well, that, again, it pays off. You just have to keep asking question after question after question, and then again, ask it from different directions also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But one thing, it's real easy. I mean, if you work in the pendulum, you can control it. Am I going to win the lottery this weekend? Oh yeah. So what you have to do dealing with the pendulum is allow your subconscious mind to control it, and not your conscious mind. And when your subconscious mind controls it, that's when you get the real answers.
Now, have you ever used it to get like a windfall profit of any kind?
No,
That
would be an abuse of the privilege.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think it's a gift, and I don't want to go there.
Yeah, we don't touch it with prophecy or anything like that either.
Okay.
Nope.
It's a research tool.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that would be kind of like I'm trying to unleash something bad if you started going that direction with it. Slippery slope.
I just think I think we have at least for speaking myself, I think I have a governor that wouldn't let me get the right answers because it's not what I'm supposed to be doing with my gift.
Right.
That's kind of like how when Hitler was searching for the otherworldly, the occult, he wasn't allowed to get it. I don't think they want people like that to have it. Well, there's some mention of historical events that you've dealt with and interacted with on the bio here, like using the pendulum as historical reference. Like you said, Poverty Point, Louisiana, 4,000 years ago, pre-European. Tell me a little about that, because I love the history part of it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Poverty Point is the name of a site in northeast Louisiana that has one of the oldest indigenous civilizations in North America. Archaeologists generally give a 4,000 years ago time frame. Could go either way. Our indication was it goes back a lot further. But it's a physical place. It's marked by a huge mound that, when it was constructed, purportedly over 1,000 years ago, it was in the shape of a bird and had some sort of religious significance to the village. A good part of that mound still exists, and that's kind of the feature at Poverty Point. And we have taken the pendulum to Poverty Point and to see, well, is anyone here? Of course there is. And the individual that was willing to communicate with us the information we gleaned from him, and it was a him, is that 4,000 years ago, he was living at what is now known as Poverty Point, and he was the village shaman. And that prompted me to ask, well, as the shaman, then by chance, did you have any communications with people coming from the sky and craft or whatever? And it was a very definite, oh, yes, I'm the one who interacts between the village and the sky people, I think is how he referred them. And that was the first inkling of where we sky people. Well, that ought to be a book.
And go on. I could be one to spend all day over there talking about sky people.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's
a fascinating topic.
Yeah, much of it's in the book.
Well, what about
it's interesting? George and I did the research on this. We were thinking. Now you hear a lot about the sky people visiting. The people in the Middle East. So we were sitting around one day going, well, if they visited the Middle East, surely they visited the people here in the Americas. So we said, well, let's find out. So George lives in the center of the mound building culture, and I'm out here in the cliff dweller culture. Mm-hmm. And so we conducted a bunch of research, and then researching the sky people, and then compared notes, and we got the similar readings from two different cultures, two different time frames. But definitely the sky people came down and visited with the Native Americans, and curiously,
and interacted physically. Physically.
And one of the things that we discovered here was that at least the ones the spirits we talked to did not think of the sky people as gods. They were simply people who came down in some kind of craft and interacted with them. Mm-hmm. But they weren't gods. They were just, advanced people.
Now is the Poverty Point a paleo site? Patrick would like to know.
Officially, no.
Yeah, officially, no, but it's a World Heritage Center.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost too new to be a paleo site.
Yeah.
I suspect if they dug down, they would find it.
Yeah.
But officially,
yeah. All sites are paleo sites. You dig deep enough.
And beyond. Beyond paleo.
So everything's edible once. But as I'll tell you, as interesting as the sky people are, one thing in that aspect of that long ago, did it have any of them mentioned the other people from across the world visiting this continent, like the Egyptians or
we haven't pursued that, and our use of the pendulum is very research oriented. We're not just let's see what happened. No, we're focused on a particular project and using the pendulum as one method of gleaning information towards that particular project.
That's cool. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like me, I'm over here just brainstorming things. Like, man, what's the possibility? I'd end up ruining the whole freaking profession if I ever got into it. Like, stop asking those questions, man. Stop asking.
Well, it's a good question. Again, personally, I think there was a lot of visitation from Europe and Africa and China and Japan, pre-Columbus.
I mean, the pyramids alone, around the world are crazy. Yeah, Riley was asking, is it possible that the pendulum doesn't want to give you the right answer? Because he asked a guy about Dennis Martin, and the pendulum was just saying no to every question.
Well, you ask your higher self, is this something you're supposed to be exploring?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like what if you're not supposed to know that?
Yeah, seriously, that's I've backed off a lot of cases because I was having trouble, and I would ask, my higher self, is it better that I not involve myself in this case? And I've got a yes, and then I've often backed out. And let's see. Part of the way through any process, ask yourself, your higher self, if you're getting the right answers. And if you're not getting the right answers, you can inquire why. Is this something I'm not supposed to explore? Am I too tired? Have I had too much cold medicine?
Would your life be severely changed if I knew it?
Yeah, all kinds of things.
That's like that like I was asking earlier about the windfall profit kind of thing. Like, imagine if you won, like somehow used it for evil and got like $1 billion tomorrow. Like, your life would be over. And I know it sounds bad, but like, we're not supposed to have that kind of authority. That's like I said earlier, giving a child a loaded weapon. Just hand one of us 100 million. Like I have a plan to do it, but just giving it to somebody random that worked at a carpet mill. Like, hey, the guy that works on the docks down by y'all just gets 100 million. That's over. I mean, they might as well have given him a poison. You're not supposed to have.
He'll be broke in a year.
Or dead.
Yeah. Anyway, again, that's why we don't pursue that, because again, it's an abuse of the gift. I think it would come back to bite us.
I would just be at Chick-fil-A every meal. I'm here. I'm here again for my 3 sandwiches. I weigh 400 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm a billionaire. What did David had a pyramid question? Now let me ask you this about spirits you talk with. Are they? I don't know how to say it. Are they in heaven, or are they still ghosts? Like, can somebody in heaven talk to?
Yes. This gets real complex. What they tell us is, once you pass, you go through the light, you come to your landing place, and and Mom and Dad and Fido and Uncle Joe, they're there to greet you, to kind of ease you into it, because it's so overwhelmingly wonderful over there. It's too much to handle all at once. What they tell us is that there are different levels. Like, the first level is for the earthbound. If you're committed to finding out how your grandkids are doing, you can stick around at that level. If you're not ready to progress, you can stay at that level. Beyond that, there are other levels of spiritual development that, when you're ready, you can move up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, when we're having sessions over here at the house, there'll be usually half a dozen people involved. And I'll ask the mediums, how's the crowd? And there will be 30 or 40, if you will, people not in body who are there participating and enjoying the heck out of it.
They like to talk.
You think they're bored? Like, do they know time? Do they feel boredom like we do? I feel like they wouldn't.
I don't think so.
It just seems like they have something else going on.
I think something I've learned with dealing with the earthbound spirits is they like to come back if they're not ready to move up to another level. They come back and have, that's fine. They come back and have vacations, and I use that word. You come back to the planet Earth as a vacation. Consistently got a yes. They go back to pleasant times, to relive pleasant times.
I wondered if you could go back and have it to the best days and check them out.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's a case in one of the books. I had a pre-World War II out in the West, not too far from where I live. There's an old ghost ranch, and there was a cowboy, and he got married to a sweetheart. This is probably 1939, and the foreman and the owner got together. They threw him a big wedding, and they had everybody there. They were passing a jug, and they were dancing and playing the guitars and the fiddles. He was marrying the sweetheart, the love of his life, best day of his life. World War II comes along. He joins the Marines, goes to the Pacific, gets blown up on one of the islands. And so we met that spirit. And we said, why are you here? He said, and again, I'm boiling down a lot of questions, but basically he said, I come back and I relive the absolute best day of my life anytime I want to. I'm marrying my sweetheart. I can relive that moment.
That must be the highlight of it. Now, did they say that there is a hell? Like, has that ever came up, or is that just one of the levels?
You can create a hell if you want. It's nothing imposed from what we understand. It's a matter of personal perception.
Yeah, we George and I pretty much stay away from the religious angle, just because it's. Once you start talking religion, you're going to lose half your audience, and we're trying to give information to everybody possible. The best definition I heard of hell is that somebody asked a spirit, this wasn't us, but they said, is there a hell? And the spirit said, no, but there's a place like that for people who think there is. And they go there, and then slowly but surely we go bring them out. But
that makes sense.
People, the WWW Tombstone Land thing I told you about was one of those spirits who was afraid to cross over because he thought he was going to hell.
So that's kind of like what purgatory kind of is. Somebody thinks.
Well,
that
that's
Well,
that's
it's showing the power of belief.
yeah.
Mhm. I'm more. I say more. I kind of hope that there's some kind of a question and answer session. And like, well, how was I supposed to know that? Kind of thing.
Well, again, something we've come up with again across the board is you do go through a life review in front of a panel, and it's not a trial. It's not an accusatory situation. You sit down and you go through your life. You know, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? Do I need to go back and relearn this? Do I need to go back and relearn that? But it's not like a trial. It's something you participate in to enhance your spirit.
Now, in that same note, do you ever get into life path numbers or the significance thereof?
What?
Life path numbers?
No, I don't know.
It's like it has to do with like your birth date and your birth year and the day you were born. Like like 1 through 10. Like mine's a 9, which means I'm on my last life path.
No,
it's kind of a reincarnation sort of thing. I'm not sure how that fits in.
I know a rock on a string, and that's the limit of my capabilities.
Like David and Goliath over here. I just know a rock and string. Hey,
I describe myself as a psychic on training wheels. I'm still learning.
Now, I know anyone can buy a pendulum and use it. Is there any danger to just John Q. person getting one and trying to learn how to do it?
No, I would
not like a Ouija board would be like danger, like a portal to hell in your bathroom.
Not with. Well, again, the pendulum is like any other tool, can be used for good or evil. But learning the technique, you can pick that up in 5 minutes. I mean, if you can hold a rock on a string, you can pendulum dowse. To be good at it, you have to practice and you have to train your mind so that you allow your subconscious to give the answers. That's the I don't want to say hard part, but that's the challenge.
That's the discipline part.
That's the there you go.
It's something I would like to dabble in just to see, but I didn't want it to be, like I made the joke earlier. You get a Ouija board and all of a sudden your house is haunted, and it's terrifying. But a pendulum would just be like worst case.
It depends on, again, it gets back to your intention. If your intentions are good, you're going to get good results.
Or you can take it to an extreme, like the one lady in the supermarket with the pendulum trying to decide which loaf of bread I'm going to buy. And so you can overdo it. You can overdo it.
Yeah, and it ends up leading her down a dark path, I bet. Mostly in a supermarket.
Well, anything can.
Yeah, humans have a knack for messing up the best things. Just I can see how someone who weak-minded, hopefully not myself, but get like 2 or 3 good sessions, all of a sudden start going nuts with it.
I know that guy.
Yeah, that'd be the thing. Like that'd be the thing I would worry about is you start getting addicted to it, just like you said, the lady in the supermarket.
Well, again, with the pendulum, again, you got to realize, it's not you; it's your higher self and your subconscious. So once keep the ego out of it.
All right, I'm checking here for any kind of questions, but yeah, I think we've ended the end of our official conversation, and I really thank you guys for being on. Let me see what we got here.
Good grief, that was a fast 15 minutes.
So, part 2, next 3 hours.
Yeah, roll on.
I'm telling you, it goes fast once it gets started.
Incredible.
What's he talking about here? Congregate after physical death for varying lengths of time based on the time in there.
Individual resident vibrations and belief systems.
Oh, there we go. It's part 2. I was like, what? Did I miss something? Yeah, I've heard different people of mediumship saying that the people who believe that there are punishments and certain things you have to do after death, just go do that thing, even though you don't really have to. They go over and start worshiping. Like y'all don't have to go to heaven and do all that for the rest of eternity. You can go explore the cosmos. But I don't know. That's just different.
No, again, once you get over, there are different levels of spiritual development, and that exploring the cosmos may be one of the levels.
That's what I want to do. I want to go check some stuff out. But
you mean,
in my mind, like you go over there, you get just a data download and you know everything instantly.
That I'll have to disagree with that.
You know more than we would know here necessarily because you got a broader perspective, but that just opens up more things to learn.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just saying you would know more than what a human would know.
Well, George nailed it with the term broader perspective. Doesn't mean you necessarily know more.
You would know if there was life on Jupiter without having to.
Probably not.
Dang it. There goes my yearn to die now. I have to wait for this.
Well, pick up a pendulum and start investigating Jupiter.
Is there any place that sells them? I mean,
lots of places. Any New Age bookstore, probably a rock store also. And you can make a pendulum. It's a weight on a string.
It's a rock on a string. Get a plumb bob out of the.
I did a research over in a graveyard over in around Tombstone, and I forgot my pendulum. Took a shoestring, cut it off, picked up a rock on the ground, tied it off, and that was my pendulum for the day. It worked perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's the intention. I don't doubt that a bit.
Intention.
Yeah, you don't kind of like you can make a Ouija board with a piece of paper and a bottle cap. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you have. Was there anything you guys want to plug? Your books, upcoming projects, TV shows you're on? All your websites are in the description, so if the audience
our books are available wherever you order your books in ebook and paperback. Check them out.
I'm going to go rewatch that Lindsey Higgins things tonight.
Yeah, good thing.
Because George is in it.
Yeah, that's how I knew you. This is all it's all coming. I'm getting a data download now. I'm like, how do I know? Man, oh yeah, because my daughter, she's 4, and I started her watching Godzilla, and then she saw the Mothman on a documentary, and she's obsessed with cryptids and Godzilla now. And I didn't have anything to do with it. We'll go to bed watching stuff scaring me half to death. She's laughing at me.
Yeah,
I'm like, turn that shit off.
What?
She's wearing a shirt now that has Mothman on the front.
Yeah, what's the line from the song? All my greatest fears are her cartoons.
Yeah. Childhood souvenirs. Took me years to get them souvenirs. The so is that the only show you guys have been on? As far as
we've been on probably a dozen podcasts over the last couple of years.
I was getting good reviews from your Dave Scott thing earlier.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That was a long 2 hours. But yeah, if you Google either George or me on YouTube, type in George or me, our names, you'll come across probably half a dozen.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that thumbnail for Dave Scott, as a matter of fact, the other day when it was on. Yeah, I'm like, I got them guys coming on in a couple of days.
Yeah, here we are.
So what would be the best strategy for getting on coast to coast before I let you go?
Call them up.
I know I'm friends with Connie Willis on Facebook.
Yeah.
She's one
of the contact information is on the website. So, send them an email.
Does emotional state affect the pendulum readings?
Absolutely. If you've had a fight with a spouse, or you've had an example of road rage, you really don't want to do pendulum work.
Mm-hmm.
And how come I keep wanting to put a J in the word pendulum? Must be my North Alabama.
Oh no!
All right.
No, just when you want to be really calm and quiet and centered when you do pendulum work.
Yeah, I can see how. Like,
yes.
What about this? Just hit me. I'm trying not to prolong it and keep you guys longer. But like, say you just lost a relative, and you're just like, I'm going to the pendulum. I got to talk to him. Does that, like, can that bode negative results if you're in that stage of extreme grief?
I wouldn't have much confidence in any communication in that kind of frame of mind.
Yeah.
That just screams like, you
might go to somebody who is a pendulum dowser or a medium that is unemotionally attached and work with that person.
Yeah.
But make sure if you work with a psychic, make sure the psychic you vet the psychic, because there are a lot of flakes out there.
Yes, there are. And you can
ask for references.
So you can check out my podcast playlist for flaky psychics. I have a list. I've got quite the collection of psychic flakes. A lot of people want to talk to pets for some reason. Yep, good show on Spaced Out Radio. I saw that one as well with the purple owl guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good show, fellas. I'm glad you came on.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And I'm going to check out your books and maybe have you back, because I kind of hit this kind of not knowing which way to go because it's such a different subject, such a niche topic. But now I got questions.
All right.
Hey,
I'm going to be in my backyard on my knees doing this.
We'll be back.
Give us a call anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I really had a great time. And
All right.
Thank you.
I'm about to hit that intro. And thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for your questions, for watching. And hit that subscribe button if you feel like it. Peace out.
I never didn't believe in Bigfoot. I never believed in it. I didn't believe in it. I never gave it any thought.
They kept wood knocking back and forth to each other, and it was in a pattern.
Barn owls don't typically throw rocks.
I come across these tracks.
Sasquatch is still not on my mind.
All right, so random question for you guys that's still there. What if I started doing like a Q&A with myself at the end of this? I don't know, for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm probably not going to do it tonight, but I know I got a couple people still online, but yeah, I'm still here, chilling. I got nothing else to do. Kind of hungry. I'm just exploring different topics. I'll probably cut this out of the final product. But yeah, I don't know. Just trying to add some more flair to the show. I know Kevin's still here. Kevin and me are probably the only people watching. All right, maybe I'll explore this topic a little more. Is anybody else still on? Ask a question to the host here. I'm chilling. I'm out of caffeine. Oh, John Lamb's still here. Got the whole crowd. Let's get somebody else online and send them the link. I don't know. Roll Tide, Phyllis. What about Jalen Milrow? Did a pretty good job. That's kind of the reason I left my hat on today instead of changing into a squat chat. A little bit of I don't know. Yeah, this is kind of I knew it was about to end and they all jumped off. So I'm like, I'll just keep going. See if anybody from the audience has anything. I was asking AI to help me rewrite the show description earlier. I told it I wanted my demographic to be middle-aged males, since I was getting a lot. That's what my percentages were showing on my metrics. And it said, if you are a middle-aged male, please watch this show. I'm like, what in the world? It's not like a erectile dysfunction ad. Don't just out and say it. John, I may be gone before you get back. I hate to say it, but I'm just, if you're a middle-aged male, please look here. If you want anal leakage, or don't, what is it says? Paralysis, anal leakage. W.B. Riley. Yeah, that was a pretty good show. I didn't know anything about the topic they're talking other than the bio I was given, and I think I did a pretty good job of steering that conversation, because that was kind of a clinic in picking the yes and subject. So I'm kind of proud of myself. W.B. Riley. Oh, who is W.B. Riley? Is that somebody that worked at the PIF? Yeah, the pendulum. Like, what would you use? Hang on. I bet I got something. Check this out. I have Rusty Shackelford's. Come on. Rusty Shackelford's pocket sand. It's Dale Gribble. You know how he throws pocket sand? I could use that as a pendulum. Pocket sand. Rusty Shackelford. Can you see that? See it? It's Dale Gribble. Look inside. It looks like black tar heroin, but it's actually just little packets of sand. And if somebody's attacking you, throw it in their face and go, pocket sand. I wonder if I could use that as a pendulum. I'm going to try it. Drawing a yes or no. I'm doing a yes or no on my paper over here. Kevin, ask a question. Will Tennessee ever win the Heisman Trophy? Oh, it said no. I'm sorry. It's just steering straight to no. I can't stop it. It flew across the room, Kevin. Just straight to no. Is Jack Stevens real? It's not really working. It's just going straight down. Worst pendulum ever. Pocket sand. Sha-sha. I'm just riffing. Riffing, folks. I think I got a cold again. Phyllis said no. Do you hear, Ty? A meet and greet in Mississippi? Yeah, I mean, given enough time, I've got some kind of thing going on close to Dothan in January. I was asked to do a live podcast down there next to MK Davis and Jessica Jones. With the keynotes, I've made it. I'm on the Mount Rushmore. Jessica and MK, I mean, it doesn't get no better than that. That's like next step Bob Gimlin, you know, Zach Bacon. Who's next? I don't know. I've got to buy a piece of equipment before I go. Yeah, I would be interested. Just like is it just kind of like we did at Woodwalkers? I mean, all I would need is maybe a month, like a month or so, because I'd have to ask all work. But I got to buy another audio interface before I go do it because I got to do a live podcast, and this is not going to work. This is the Huntress. Yeah, Jessica's a friend of mine though. We've hung out a couple of times. They're as we say here in the South, they're good people. One of the I was really surprised when I got into this whole podcast Bigfoot world that I would actually meet friendly people and not quote unquote dickheads that were so eat up on in their ego that they wouldn't want anything to do with it. Now those do exist, but they don't last long and no one likes them. When I found out the gospel according to Dizzle, the best way to get by with anything in this podcast world is act like you don't know shit. Act like you're low scum of the earth. You're a fan of everybody. You're not better than anybody. Just hang out and let your merit go up. Let your merit lead you. Like you're a cool dude, so you get to meet more people. Anybody that's like, yeah, follow me because I do things. I don't know. Those guys don't get far. Like you with John. I met you. I was like, hey, John, what's happening? Yeah, you don't have to be Kevin. Watch your mouth. Yeah, like I show up to those meet and greets. I'm just like, I don't walk up to people and, hey, you're somebody that's famous. Be my friend. Like I'll let them come to me or I'll get introduced. And sometimes I do walk up to them and I just introduce myself to them. But I'm not just like, I'm not like wedging myself into the fold. I do rock, Kevin. You're right. Speaking of rock, my nose, I think I caught a cold this weekend. Like I'm just itchy. That's beside the point. I'm about to go watch the show From. I recommend anybody that has never watched the show to start it. FORM. It is amazing. And thanks everyone for watching and share it with everybody. Riley, thanks for coming and doing the questions because you really had some good ones in there. And next week I have, this is actually a good little thing I'm doing at the end of these. This is actually neat. I'm not really expected to say anything professional. As everybody knows I'm a professional. Let's see who I got next week. Next week I have Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. Yeah, John, from I don't know what service it's on, but it kind of reminds me of Lost, but with zombies. And it's from the same creators. And it's a mystery show and horror at the same time. Let's see who she is. McGeorge. Kimberly McGeorge. Next week is Dr. Kimberly McGeorge will discuss her research using state-of-the-art technology for alternative health combined with the energy fields. Whoa. So we're going to be talking about alien and conspiracies. That'll be fun. Anywho. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'm ending it now for real. Peace out.